Thank you so much. Bring it down. Thank you. Breathing. Yes. Music is my greatest form of meditation. I formed this band MAE.SUN in April of 2016, and what you just heard was the first part of Volume 1, Interbeat. We'll play most of the volume tonight, and this is different for us because usually we play as like a non-stop experience, so we go from one track right into the next, almost like you're just listening to a constant suite of music. And I resonate with that a lot because it's a journey that we're all on, and it doesn't have to be interrupted with speech, but I'm glad that we can dive deeper and I can talk more about my music with you guys. And so that was called River of Perception, and kind of metaphor for our thoughts and our constant stream. You might have heard maybe crashing of waves or something that's similar to this endless stream of thought that we usually have trouble breaking out of. I know I do. But breathing is one of my helps for that, gaining a consciousness and a focus. So yeah, I mean, if you have a question, or I don't know how
Do we have any
roll.
questions?
We could keep rolling, we could keep playing, and there's, yeah.
Are you playing alto sax?
No, this is a soprano saxophone, and this model is actually called a saxello, and so it does look different than most sopranos, but it has a slight curve at the neck and at the bell. Here.
She does also play alto,
I do.
just not in this
Yeah.
project.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When you compose music, usually at the lead track, if you want to call it that, you also feel bass, drums, piano. You tell other people in the band how you would like the...
Yeah, I compose on piano actually, so that's where my ideas usually start, or it might be a melody in my head and I just sing it out and I'll record it on my voice memo or something on my phone. But a lot of it comes from the piano, playing and singing at the same time, finding that melody. Sometimes I'll grab my horn after I have a flow of the harmony and add a melody on top with the saxophone. Yeah. But it is a very free form of music, and something that I'll just talk to you about. I didn't come from this. I actually studied jazz performance at Berklee College of Music and was obsessed with the more straight ahead, John Coltrane. I still am, and I still love that, but I felt like I was trying to emulate something. I was trying to be someone else, trying to be John Coltrane, trying to be Cannonball Adderley, and I wanted to feel like myself and more original. And so I began composing, not knowing what I was doing. I didn't know it was MAE.SUN yet, and I just kind of let go of the boxes and the stereotypes and the genres, the thoughts that I had to compose a funk tune or a jazz tune or anything, and just kind of let the music come from a very open place, like a vessel. Many people feel that music is we're kind of just an instrument, an extension of like the greater creation or creator, whatever that may be coming through us. So I really opened myself to that and didn't judge what I was writing, didn't place it in a particular box, and I let it sit for a while, and I didn't even know what it was going to be yet or what I would even do with it. But then I was given an opportunity to play at a series that one of my best friends curates called The Revolution at National Sawdust in Brooklyn, and she gave me this opportunity to perform at this night, and I knew this was like the birthplace of MAE.SUN. Like I had to get this project together, and yeah, I'm so glad I did, because I finally feel like I am the most original and the most honest I've ever been. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I think that's a good segue into what's playing now.
This next song is called Continuous Recognition. So who here has heard of Thich Nhat Hanh? Yeah. Great. Do you have any favorite books of yours, of his?
Well, I had the privilege of studying with him when he was still teaching, but Being Peace is probably the one that I carry with me all the time.
Wonderful. Wow, that's incredible. I hope to meet him while he's still in this physical realm. Well, the book that caught my attention was Peace is Every Step, and that is a book that I recommend to everyone I meet. And I feel like it just gave me, I felt reborn when I found it. I mean, maybe people feel that way when they, find a religion or something, but I never grew up religious. I didn't go to church, and I still don't really claim religion. I'm spiritual, and this book really guided me to really being conscious of things that I just never even thought about or never even embraced or embodied. So, grabbing this book. There's a part that I want to read to you guys, if that's okay. Is this cool? This is fun. I know
It is a library after all.
It's a library. I brought my books to the library. So I'll bring it out a few times, but before we play our next song, this next song is called Breathe. And I read this paragraph. In our busy society, it is a great fortune to breathe consciously from time to time. We can practice conscious breathing not only while sitting in a meditation room, but also while working at the office or at home, while driving in our car or sitting on a bus, wherever we are at any time throughout the day. There are so many exercises we can do to help us breathe consciously. Breathe this simple in-out exercise. We can recite these 4 lines silently as we breathe in and out. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment. And so that really was something that I took on as a mantra, something that could always guide me when I needed to be centered. And so I took that little mantra and just reworded it for me in the lyrics here, because I can do it verbatim, but I didn't want to stray too far. So it's definitely a direct reference to that, but also touching on this album. This volume is called Inter B, and that really struck to me, learning what is Inter B, what is interbeing, and this was what followed. If you are a poet, you will see clearly that there is a cloud floating in the sheet of paper. Without a cloud, there will be no rain. Without rain, the trees cannot grow, and without trees, we cannot make paper. The cloud is essential for the paper to exist. If the cloud is not here, the sheet of paper cannot be here either. So we can say that the cloud and the paper inter-are. Interbeing is a word that is not in the dictionary yet, but if we combine the prefix inter with the verb to be, we have a new verb, interbe. If we look into the sheet of paper even more deeply, we can see the sunshine in it. Without the sunshine, the forest cannot grow. In fact, nothing can grow without the sunshine. And so we know that the sunshine is also in the sheet of paper. The paper and the sunshine inter-are, and if we continue to look, we can see the logger who cut the tree and brought it to the mill to be transformed into the paper. And we see wheat. We know that the logger cannot exist without his daily bread, and therefore the wheat that became his bread is also in the sheet of paper. The logger's father and mother are in it too. When we look in this way, we see without all of these things, the sheet of paper cannot exist. Looking even more deeply, we can see ourselves in the sheet of paper too. This is not difficult to see because when we look at the sheet of paper, it is part of our perception. Your mind is in here and mine is also. So we can say that everything in here with this sheet of paper. We cannot point out one thing that is not here. Time, space, the earth, the rain, the minerals in the soil, the sunshine, the cloud, the river, the heat, everything coexists with this sheet of paper. This is why I think the word interbe should be in the dictionary. To be is to interbe. We cannot just be by ourselves alone. We have to interbe with every other thing. This sheet of paper is because everything else is. So, this song is called Breathe, and if you're a musician or you know about pulse and the beat, or you can just find your own rhythm to consciously breathe with us through this song. There's a natural cadence in which you'll feel, and hopefully we can all meditate on this together and really consciously breathe right now. Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much. Do you guys feel good? Did you get your conscious breathing in? Great. So I guess just to touch on those lyrics a little bit more, but dwelling in the present moment, I know it is a wonderful moment. So the ability to stay in the present moment, stay conscious, has been aware, is a huge part of Thich Nhat Hanh's teachings. And I think there is no greater art form than jazz to be in the present moment. I think creating and improvising on the spot, I mean, as you see, there's a storyline happening here. There's a groove, a motion, but we're improvising here too. And so we're creating in the moment, and we're really present with what we're trying to say here with you guys. And so yeah, I think jazz is wonderful, and to use that element of improvisation, I guess, is in general, and expanding it to, you know, a wider range of genres, or to mix and fuse them together and to be one. So yes. Is there any questions? Yeah.
When you started on the piano, and I didn't study jazz, is there a chord for every notes? What you guys play? They're all like diminished, suspended, 7, 11, 13?
No, those are just major chords.
You mean on this song or in general?
When you were playing by yourself in the beginning of, I don't remember.
Oh, the one before this one? Oh, yeah, I mean, that's just a A minor vamp, but with that, you can make things modal, and then you can expand upon that. When you have like such a modal tune where you're not moving, continuous recognition of this mode or this, yeah.
If I may explain with an analogy, if you think about a field that has a really elaborate obstacle course on it, there are some tunes that have a really highly structured harmonic landscape where there's this chord and this chord and this chord happening in a very predetermined and rigid way. And as with any obstacle course, your job is to surmount it as athletically as possible. There's not a lot of room for decision making. It's just trying to get through this thing and then get through that thing. And hopefully you can have some degree to which you make that effortless and can still be expressive and so on. The opposite extreme, I suppose, would be an open field with nothing on it, and I say, you've got a few minutes, go do something in this field. And the challenge becomes very different there, and the tune you're referring to was more like that, where you don't have a lot of structure, and so the freedom is on one level liberating, and on another level it requires you to come up with stuff to a degree that you wouldn't have to if it's like, okay, well now I need to climb this thing, and now I need to jump over this thing. And so when you're playing jazz, you need to be able to navigate both things. You need to be able to get through the obstacle course, but you need to be able to create something out of the unstructured stuff. And so there's a lot of, as Hailey was talking about, there's a lot of freedom that comes with being in the present moment and knowing, I mean, theoretically, anytime we talk, we could say anything, but some of the things that we might say could be socially inappropriate or could be incoherent or whatever, and we can decide to say it anyway. I can decide to start screaming and dropping F-bombs in the middle of the library. I will not. At least I do not intend to at this time. But, you know, so you have this tug. And Hailey's music, if I may say, is very challenging in a good way, in that it gives you a lot of that kind of freedom where you need to create something. You need to honor what is written into the music, but also figure out how you can be fully present with it and not just sort of go through the motions of playing just what's on the page. I'm going to ask you a question, if I may. I mean, how you've had a pretty wide range of folks who've played this music. So for those who may not be aware of this, we've got a pretty wide range just within this band, in that David is intimately familiar with this music, played on the record. Randy is not on the record, but is a regular collaborator. And Henry and I were physically in the same room with Hailey for the first time at 6 o'clock tonight before we had the 15 minutes of rehearsal we had to put this music together. So, thanks. But the point is not, woo! The point is that all of these things are part of what a jazz musician does in interacting with others and having others play their music. I think we've all had a lot of both experiences where you're playing with people with whom you're intimately familiar, and then you have experiences where it's the musical equivalent of you walk into a room and you're conversing with someone you never met before. And can you talk a little bit about that experience of playing this music? Like how when you recorded the album, how much had the band played it up till that point, and how has it evolved, if at all, since then, as the same folks have continued to learn this music?
Yeah. So the first year that MAE.SUN started, I maybe had like 6 gigs in that year before we recorded the album, and there was a different combination of people on every single gig up until the very one before the recording session. Now, all those people that ended up recording had played it more than once, but never in the same configuration that it was the ensemble, like right before we recorded it. It kind of just took some testing out. Like, I played the first gig, and I actually almost, nailed it on the head. The first gig, I have everyone that's in the band now except for Frazier over here on the drums. And so that was the element that I was missing. The drummer I used, he was great, but he wasn't the right fit. And then I found him, and he's been my first call ever since. So I always have my regular musicians that I call and ask first if they're available to do the show, and then if they can, I'll fill in with other subs. But that makes it, and then we start having some sub repeats or people that have played it before, but it makes it really exciting because it's kind of this like melting pot of, you're not gonna really know what happens until you're in the moment of the gig and you're all playing together. But I think it's exciting for me that way, and yeah, thanks for learning the music, and it's great. Yeah.
Do we have other questions at this time?
Well,
I would just say I thought it was really awesome in that last song how Henry managed to make his bass actually say words. Because I heard through the whole thing, breathe in, breathe out. And, and the bass was saying it the whole time.
He was saying.
Maybe I should give you the bass here.
It's great. Yeah, well, in the line of mantras and saying, putting meaning into words, putting conscious thought into words, I think that music is very powerful and a powerful tool for change, and I think a lot of, things we need to help with the energy of this world and have more positive energy, more positive light. So this next piece is called Be Love, Be Peace, and it is a mantra that I wrote, calling for everyone out there to join me, so you'll hear it.
The world's in need of love, so won't you please just be love. Ooh, the world's in need of peace, so won't you please just be peace. Ooh. So won't you please Thank you. Thanks so much.
So I know there's a lot of young people here. When I was talking about all the partnerships, I neglected to mention that we've got a number of students, in addition to several alumni from the CCY, Center for Creative Youth. Can you give it a round of applause? If you know what CCY is, you're already cool. If you don't know what CCY is, it's a summer program that takes place up the hill at Wesleyan for artistically accomplished and talented high school students who live on campus for a month. This is my 17th year teaching through the CCY program and my 5th year as the music department chair. And so we've got a bunch of our students. So I'm not going to pressure you to ask questions, but I know you're thinking of stuff at this point. So if anyone has any questions, now would be a great time. But yes.
I was just wondering what instrument you're playing. Is it a French horn?
This is a soprano saxophone. Yeah, it's called a sax solo, this model.
Yes, back in the...
You're amazing. I was wondering how long you played the soprano saxophone, and is that what you started with?
No, so I started piano when I was 5. I started clarinet when I was 8, alto saxophone when I was 10. I did accordion for a little bit at 11 and played flute when I was 16, and then I started playing, then I got a soprano saxophone, and then started playing little drums in college, and then I got a tenor saxophone, And yeah, basically I'm 28 now, so I've been playing saxophone for 18 years. Yeah, and I basically was doing the most in high school, as you can guess. I basically was obsessed with music so much that I got tendinitis, but I was doing like every band I could get in and practicing all the time. And I had a mentor that just told me when I was 16, like, you have to choose a focus. You can't do it all. If you really want to succeed, you have to choose. And I chose saxophone, and I'm so glad I did. Yeah.
I think I saw another hand out there too. Is that accurate? Maybe not.
Yeah, hand, yeah.
Yes, sir.
The other piano was here. Would you be playing that, or is this like music that you would play an electric? Think of playing an electric piano?
It's a very interesting question. If so, I don't think I told the folks in the band, but for 9 months out of the year, there's a really nice Baldwin grand piano here that is on loan from the summer program where it is currently housed. So this is actually the first. This is our 4th year of Jazz Up Close, and the first time we've done a summer concert for that specific reason.
Cool.
But Hailey's music lends itself so well to the electric stuff that I probably would, at minimum, I would have had this set up side by side with the piano so I could do both.
Mm-hmm.
It would definitely be a significant reinterpretation of the music to do the entire thing on acoustic piano.
For sure. And on the album, there's only one track that we used, an acoustic piano on. The rest is electric. Some throats and stuff.
Yes.
First of all, that last piece just blew my mind. It was so exciting the way it built, and just really such a beautiful concert so far. That's not a question, though, that's a statement. My question is, in making this spiritual music, there is a sound tradition with Buddhism, and I was wondering if you have explored, I don't hear it in your music, and I'm wondering if maybe you have explored that and there is something that I'm missing, or...
What's the question? If I've explored Buddhism?
No, Buddhist, like, sound, chanting...
Oh, no, I cannot claim a Buddhist faith. I very much vibrate with the teachings of it and ideals, but I'm not one to tell you much about it. I do know Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and that has actually saved me a few times. I play with Mike Clark a lot, and he's a mentor of mine and a very, Buddhist musician, and we would be on the road, and he would teach me to chant, and I'd chant with him in his car before a show or something. But yeah, no, it's still something I'm ever exploring and always open to learning more about. Right now I'm writing a piece for the Baha'i faith in Canada, a new architecture structure for that, blessing church, whatever you call it there. But I'm just still exploring a lot of different things, but was drawn to Thich Nhat Hanh's teaching primarily because of the interbeing and the in the moment, present moment. That's so much what I'm experiencing when I play. I can't even tell you where I go when I'm improvising. I'm not really sure. I kind of feel like ever cosmic and leaving my own body sometimes, and it's nice to get to that place on an instrument when you know the instrument so well and the music is just kind of coming through you that you're so present, but you also in a way, elevate something. I'm not sure.
I have a follow-up question. We'll make sure we get to yours as well. So given that the sounds, the music associated with Buddhism, Tibetan monks chanting and so on is not part of the point of reference for this. When you're composing, I mean, one thing that's striking to me, which I think is really beautiful about this music, is all the ventilation we can get is good. Those watching this on video later, it's really hot in here.
Yeah, it's so hot. I'm so
Right, it's not just the music, but when the stereotype of Buddhism, the stereotype of meditation is tranquility and so on, and there's a real energy and at times fury to this music that sort of explores this broader scope. And I'm wondering, when you're composing, is that obviously when you're playing, you're just you're going with the flow, and you've got a band that's sensitive enough to feel the dynamics and take it where it needs to go, and keep upping the ante whenever that has to happen. When you're composing, are there specific premeditated sounds you have going in that relate to the particular phrase or teaching that you're basing a composition on, or is that also very intuitive in the sense that you have a feeling, you find the sound associated with the feeling, and you just kind of follow that?
Yeah, more intuitive. And sometimes even the music comes first, and I sit with that, and then a name for it follows after and adds even more meaning and more purpose, and then I can grow it from there. Adding lyrics, adding whatever element I want to bring to it. But I think I don't ever get too theoretical in my composition. I'm not like, oh, here I am going to stay in this modal center, and then I'm going to move over here and then do this harmony. I'm not thinking like that. I even want to like totally release and almost close my eyes and let my hands fall on the piano or something, you know, and then move from there. And I think I wanted to find a new simplicity within this music, so that when I do improvise, I can totally release and go there and go further. I also wanted to create music that is really relatable or more graspable to people that might not play it, so that it can really resonate with everyone in the world. And I just started, I love jazz, and I obviously trained and listened to it. There's a lot of motion in it. There's a lot of chords and harmony and constant moving and fast rhythms and fast things. And I just felt like that was, less catching. You can't like something to really grab onto and sing back to me. Now, when I wanted to start composing for this, I wanted to be minimal. In that last song, there were 4 chords, or 3 actually. I really wanted to hold back on that. Even like what you see now so popular in pop music, there's maybe 4 chords in a pop song that is so reaching to a lot of people, and I was wondering why do people like this? And it's like, oh, there's, I want to say not much substance there, but it's like a way of not giving too much, or to really focus on certain sounds and to repeat that over and over again, but see how you can evolve it. And that's where the improvisation comes in. And
Right on. So we'll take more questions, but let's play.
Cool. This next song is called Life is Limitless, and it's a happy song. But, well, I guess a freeing song. I don't know. Your own interpretation is great.
Thank you. This next one, thank you. This is called Universal Harmony, and this is my, I guess, prayer for the world. Thank you. That's my mom's favorite, too. We only have one little part. I want to talk to you guys some more, but I want you to know that this music is here for sale tonight if you so want to support. I have albums, and I have a couple of MAE.SUN t-shirts, a couple extra large left if you're interested, and some free stickers. I also have recorded a straight ahead album and a funk album, and I have those with me too if you're curious to hear more of my music. And I'll sell you 1 for $20 or all 3 for 1 for $10 or all 3 for $20. So let me know if you want any.
Right on. Yes, definitely help yourself.
Help yourself. Absolutely. Just go ahead. Thank you. It's also on Spotify, and you can just stream it too. Whatever.
In which case, you just hand her some money because that's
Sure.
Make money, but. And if you are not already on my Resonant Motion's mailing list, that's in the back by the Punch Bowl, which I referred to before, which is a convenient way also to support the program and empty your pockets of unneeded and cumbersome greenbacks. And are there more questions before we play one more tune? Yes.
I'm just curious about your exposure to jazz. Did your parents listen to jazz? Are they musicians?
No, they're not. They're not. That's just the answer. No, I was very self-driven. I kind of discovered music on my own, and I asked my mom if I could take piano lessons, and she said, you can as long as you practice, and so I just did that. And my saxophone teacher is the one that introduced me to jazz.
For each of your songs, how much is written down and how much of it is improvised?
The whole volume is written on 3 pieces of paper. The entire album is on 3 pieces of paper, handwritten.
No photos, but just
yeah.
So do you just come up with a melody and then you just work off that?
Yeah, usually I sit at the piano and I usually find some chords and sing a melody. Maybe at the same time, maybe it'll just happen with the fingers. Maybe I'll sing. Maybe I'll sing after. Definitely very at the piano involved. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I thought I saw another hand. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question for the drummer? I noticed when somebody else is taking a solo, you're watching them so intently. Are you anticipating what they're doing? Are you playing along with what they're doing in their solo?
Yes, all of the above. No, but that's kind of the name of the unwritten game, I guess. But it's the interaction of being in the moment, being very attentive. Really, the attention is key.
Yeah. Another question? Yeah.
Yes.
You concern yourself at all with trying to promote music that make you book on festivals, make younger people listen to it?
Yeah, actually, that's my intention with this project. As you know, jazz is different. It's fusing with hip hop. There's elements in here that are more infused with other beats and grooves. The next one we're playing, you might hear that more of a backbeat kind of vibe, something that younger crowds might vibe to. But yeah, this is a lot of shows we play are actually standing shows, and people are able to move with us. And I see this being at festivals. Why not? I think it'd be great. You have examples out there now like Kamasi Washington playing at Coachella, and that's, straight up improvisational jazz. And so why not, I think the younger audience is starting to expand more too, and, to develop a broader sense of taste and more genre-less music, things that really are fusing other things. With cats like Robert Glasper and Terrace Martin that are out there now that are doing work with Kendrick Lamar, and then they're also putting out a lot of jazz-ish stuff. So I think it's very fusion nowadays, and my dream is to bring this music around the world playing festivals.
Booking agents, take note.
Yeah, I'm my own booking agent, so that's fun.
So you should take note.
And I am taking MAE.SUN. We're going on our first tour this summer. We're going on a West Coast tour for 11 dates that I booked myself, so yeah, it's hard. But we're playing a festival and some other great spots.
And do we have more questions? I see one over here. Yes.
This is kind of a follow-up to your question from before, but or maybe a combination of Noah's question and Kate's question, but you're talking about Buddhist practice, but the music, like you said, is pulling more from contemporary artists like Rex Cook or Esperanza Spalding. But you're playing, or at least on the album, it's only soprano sax, and there's definitely a lineage of people playing soprano sax or oboe or shanai or double reed instruments, higher register horns in conjunction with spiritual practice. So I was wondering if you could talk a little about your choice to only play soprano sax in this context, and if it's a response to that, or how that might be touching on other people who have made explicitly spiritual things about the music within the jazz again.
Yeah, sure. Why the soprano? I think it was more of my range in terms of my hearing range. It kind of matched with that more. I also I feel differently on each of my horns. I have a different personality. I feel like I have my personality on soprano and alto and tenor. They're all different. And I think for this, I just started to hear the music on soprano, and then it just fit for me. And I felt like I could just bring it to a new element. This is actually a lesser known instrument. I mean, you don't see many soprano saxophone out there or just singularly playing that horn. So I wanted to kind of see if I can represent on that instrument front and be known for being a proficient soprano player. It's actually one of the harder saxophones to play. But I think there was just a higher vibrational range that I could hear and get to and elevate to. And yeah, it just felt like that. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to expand onto other horns with other volumes. I've already written Volume 2, and that's going to be recorded in September. And Volume 3 is actually already kind of forming as well. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I might expand on different horns, but I also just like the way, this fit with, range-wise and where I could go with that. And I like the way that soprano sounds through different effects. And although, it's an acoustic instrument, I wanted to explore the pedal territory and trying to emulate sounds and to, try and, create more of nature's sounds with my horn, try and be like the birds, try and be, the wind, whatever it is that I'm trying to fuel through the music. But yeah, it's just the direction I chose now, and that's where I am. Yeah.
Well, so before we do one more quickie, can we have another hand for Randy Runyon on the... Lugo on the bass. David Frazier Jr. on the drums. And of course, Hailey Niswanger.
Right before we play this last one, I just wanted to touch on why I go by MAE.SUN with this project. I do fully intend to still write music under Hailey Niswanger, played the Hailey Niswanger Quartet, more jazz stuff, but I wanted a different lane. I wanted a different, I felt different when writing this music and playing this music, that it was so much more than me. I couldn't put my own name to it. And so, well, entirely my own name. I guess May is actually my middle name. And sun comes from, the sun is our, as Tick refers to, is our heart, our second heart outside our body, the heart that we all share. Without the sun, we cannot be, we cannot exist. So it's something that we are all connected to through, for as long as the sun's around. But this is, MAE.SUN is just so much more than me, and so it had to be go by something other than Hailey. So this last song is called Sun of Awareness.
Thank you so much.